Good evening, Yorktown, and welcome to our second meeting of the Coalition on Community Safety and Engagement. My name is Matt Slater. I'm the town supervisor for the town of Yorktown. I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. If you could all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. If you could rise and join me in the pledge.
No, sir.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Everyone could please join me in a moment of silence as, again, we remember the men and women protecting our freedoms overseas, as we remember lives lost due to the COVID virus, as we keep praying for those combating the COVID virus, as we pray for our first responders, our front liners on the local, county, state, and national levels. Thank you. So again, this is the Coalition on Community Safety and Engagement. This is in response to Executive Order 203 that was handed down by Governor Cuomo, the governor of the state of New York, in the spring. This is our second meeting. We did have our first meeting on the 8th of October. That meeting is available online that you can watch at your leisure.
It's one of the Offner boys.
Diane, if we can just make sure everyone's muted, that'd be great. As I was saying, so we had our first meeting on the 8th. It's available for anyone to watch, so you can watch the presentation that Chief Noble provided, the initial presentation on our police department. The PowerPoint presentation is also available on the town's website. You can go to the Coalition on Community Safety and we all were just muted. There we go. I gotcha. Okay. And again, I apologize to everyone. The presentation you can watch online, and you can go through the slides that were presented. That's all on the Town of Yorktown website under the Community Coalition for Safety and Engagement tab. And so you can see all the presentations that have been given to the town on this specific topic. Tonight is our first listening session. And so this is really a collaborative conversation about the performance of our police department. We heard from our police department earlier in the month, and now we are turning to members of the public and different organizations to provide feedback about the performance of our police department within our community. So the ground rules tonight are pretty simple. I'm going to begin by inviting our invited community partners and participants. We do have a member from the district attorney's office. We do have members, I believe we have members of the legal aid of Westchester with us. I believe we may have a member of the Yorktown PBA with us. And so we're going to begin with those organizations to provide some feedback in regards to the performance of our police department. And then we're going to open it up to the public. It's basically just like a courtesy of the floor scenario, where we're just here to get your feedback. And once we hear all the testimony, if the panel has anything that they want to say or any questions that they might want to ask either the chief or one of the testifiers, they're able to do that. I do want to say that we have close to 20 people signed up to speak. In addition to the invited community partners that we have as well. So if we can do our best to just try to keep our remarks to about a 5-minute limit. Obviously, if you have more to say, by all means, we're here to listen. But we do want to also make sure that we're moving through the program and managing the time as best we can. And so with that, I want to see if there's any members of our panel. I'm happy to reintroduce our panel once again. I'm going to begin with Jim Poulin. Jim, anything that you'd like to say tonight, Jim, before we begin?
I'm good right now. Thank you.
Okay. We also have Rosemary Panio. Rosemary, anything you'd like to say before we begin?
But you got to call the number that I sent you, okay?
And hold on one
If you're
second.
gonna do it on the phone number right
Uh,
after the.
Diana,
Okay,
you're
call that
unmuted.
and I'll let you in, all right?
Diana, you're unmuted. Can you unmute Rosemary for me, please?
She's Zoom bombing.
She is. It's okay.
Yeah, I got a lot going on. You
It's-
should be able to unmute yourself, so that should
Don't-
not be a
I
problem.
don't think she knows how though, so would you be able to just unmute her for me?
Okay.
Nope, not yet, Rosemary. Hold on one second for us. Yep, Rosemary, you're good.
Okay.
Rosemary Panio, who's the chair of our senior advisory committee for the town of Yorktown. I don't know, Rosemary, if you want to say anything before we begin?
Well, I just want to state that for the record that I found the Chief Noble's presentation very informative. It laid out the day-to-day operation, the training, the law enforcement issues for our town. And it's really going to be very helpful to me if I'm asked to give comment about how we can improve, maintain, whatever. It was a great presentation. It was very helpful to me. I learned a lot.
Thank you very much. That's what I want to hear. Thank you.
I
Thank you, Ms.
learned a
Manning.
lot. I think people would learn a lot from hearing what you said.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rosemary. We are also joined by Rabbi Robbie Weiner. Rabbi, would you like to say a few words before we begin?
I just want to thank everybody for coming and thank everybody, especially the people that are going to be coming forward and sharing their thoughts. It's really important. In some ways, it was wonderful to hear the chief explain to us all the things that he has been doing to make our police department the amazing police department that it is. And it's fabulous to hear the public, the people that are receiving the gifts of our police department. And I'm sure that the chief also kind of feels the same way in terms of just like hearing from people. It's really, really important. So thank you everybody for coming tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great point, Rabbi. Thank you. Paul Cirillo? Paul, thanks for
Thank
joining
you
us.
everyone for coming, and right now I'm good so far. So.
Paul, thank you. And we have Liz Rivera, another one of our members. Liz?
Hi, good evening, everyone. I just wanted to say thank you, everyone, for coming, and I look forward to listening to all of the testimonies tonight.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
And we have Tony Reynolds. Tony, would you like to say a few words before we begin? You're on mute there. There we go.
Okay. I just want to say this is a very great panel to be on, our coalition. And I liked the presentation that Chief gave last week. It was really detailed, and I really love my town. I've been here for 25 years. I really love it, and just wanted to stay nice and quaint the way it is.
We do. Thank you very much, Tony. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. And we also have with us Peter Lanza, Vice President of the Yorktown Chamber of Commerce. Pete, do you want to say a few words before we begin?
Yeah, I just want to thank, I'm glad to be here tonight, and thank everybody for joining us, and looking forward to listening to all of the people that are going to have things to say tonight. Thank you.
Pete, thanks so much. And the two members of the coalition, we keep interchanging three different terms for it. The coalition that are mandated by the governor is myself and the chief of police. And I want to welcome, of course, Robert Noble, the chief of the Yorktown Police Department. And again, Chief, I think you've heard from the panel the great job you did on the 8th with your presentation. So thank you for that. And do you want to say a few words before we begin?
No, just thanking the coalition, thanking everybody who's going to contribute this evening. And, we're ready to listen, and, we want to be the best that we can be. So hopefully, going through this process will allow us to improve. And, we just want to do the best we can for our community and to keep it safe and serve the people, treat them like we would treat our own family. So let's have at it.
All right, great. Fantastic. Again, I do also want to say that for those who want to submit written testimony, there are two ways of doing that. You can, or really three. You can there's the ccse@yorktownny.org email address that's specifically for this coalition. You can email Diana Quast, our town clerk, at dquast@yorktownny.org. And you can email me directly at mslater@yorktownny.org as well. Again, for those who want to raise an issue and have their identity protected, the two avenues that I would recommend again is the ccsc@yorktowny.org email address, or contacting me directly, and we can foster that conversation in a way that protects anyone who feels uncomfortable presenting anything to the public. Lastly, the only other thing I wanted to say that I think the rabbi touched on, and also Chief Noble, is really it's almost like a performance evaluation, right? And performance evaluations are good, and performance evaluations really foster productive, positive conversations. And I think you've heard the chief say plenty of times that they're always looking for ways to improve. And so if we find anything that does need improvement, I think that we've already heard that there's an openness and a desire to make any of those improvements that get brought to light. So I want to make sure that everyone's comfortable coming to the coalition to bring any type of testimony that they want. We need to hear everything that's out there. And so that's why this is set up by the governor and why this coalition is set up by the town to foster that dialogue and foster that conversation. So again, I just want to thank everyone for their participation. So we're going to begin tonight by starting with our invited community partners and participants. We do have some of them with us tonight. I know that we have a member of the district attorney's office with us. Is that Steve? Is that Steve?
Yes, that's me. Thank you everyone for inviting me, and I look forward to hearing what everyone has to say.
Great.
Hey, Steve,
and,
thanks.
And Steve, if I can just ask, just from the DA's office's standpoint, I know you're participating in these around the county, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. And so, and the role that the DA's office has played thus far, I believe you're over at the Peekskill conversation a few weeks back.
Right, we were in the Peekskill conversation. We're going to be in Croton. Our role here is to not give opinion, not to offer advice. We are here to listen and to offer legal answers to any questions that may be presented to Chief Noble or to the panel. I'm here to listen mostly. So if anybody has any questions, not just for the Yorktown Police Department, but for the Westchester County District Attorney's Office, I'll answer those questions.
Okay, great. Steve, that's fantastic. Thank you. And forgive me, I know I'm jumping around a bit. My apologies for being so scattered. I do want to also thank our town clerk, Diana Quast, for her continued assistance in making this Zoom coalition and Zoom task force possible, as well as Tom Ciangela, who's with us as well. We are joined tonight. I see that we have Tom Diana, town councilman, who's on the call. And when we heard earlier from Councilwoman Alice Roker, I know she is on the call. She's not on video. She's on the telephone. But I do want to acknowledge and thank them both for joining us as well. So we have, thank you, Steve, on behalf of the District Attorney's Office. We also have, I believe, we have some individuals from the Legal Aid Society. We have someone from Legal Aid Society joining us tonight. I thought that we did.
I don't see anyone.
Okay, no problem. How about Hope's Door?
I don't think Melissa was able to make it tonight.
Okay.
She's going to watch the recording tomorrow, I think she told me.
Okay, great. And I see that we have Diego from Yorktown for Justice on. Diego is our, I understand, Diego, you're the liaison from Yorktown for Justice to the coalition, correct?
Yes, I'm on. Dax is on as well.
And Dax Armstrong is on as well. That's fantastic. Diego, do you want to say a few words before we begin?
No, I mean, I have some questions that I'd like to address later on. I'd like to thank the chief for being open to this process. I think, like everyone else, I think that it was very informative, and it shows how much care goes into, the care and thought goes into how he manages the Yorktown Police Department. Like to work together and see if there's some brainstorming we could do. That's really it.
Okay. Very good. And last but not least, the Yorktown PBA. I don't know if the PBA president is on, Tom Nardowski, or any member of the Yorktown PBA. I don't see them. So hopefully they can join us in our next meeting. Moving on, after tonight, there will be 2 meetings in November. Those meetings will be on the 12th and the 19th. The 12th is a work group similar to what we saw on the 8th. And I believe Chief Noble is going to have another presentation to make to the coalition and to the public. And then we'll be here on the 19th for another listening session, identical to this one. And that'll be on the 19th. I know that we're going to have our Yorktown School Superintendent Ron Hatter join us, as well as 2 of the Yorktown Central School District principals. And I know that Dr. Lyons, the school superintendent for Lakeland, is going to be submitting written testimony as part of that November 19th listening session.
Good.
And so with that, we are able to open it to the public, and our town clerk, Diana Quast, is going to let us know who is in line to speak. And I'm going to turn it over to Diana.
So I'm just going to go down the list that I have. I'm going to start with Doug Offner.
Doug?
Hi, guys. Hi, everybody. How are you? I don't know if you can hear me okay.
Yeah, we can hear you good, Doug.
Okay,
Thank
cool. I just wanted to thank everybody for being here. I just want to participate, listen, soak it all in. So I'm going to pass with any questions right now. But again, thank you, everybody, for everything that you do for Yorktown. Much appreciated. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Doug. Diana, who do we have next?
I'm going to go to Denise Connolly.
Okay, do we have Denise? Denise on?
I have another one that's coming on, but all right.
You know what we can maybe do, Diana? We'll go through the whole list, and then we'll go back again to see if there's anyone who jumped on.
Okay.
We may be moving faster than they realized, so we'll do that.
Let's do that. So why don't we do Chloe Curtis?
Okay. It's Chloe on. You see Chloe Curtis right there on the screen. Chloe, are you there?
Yes.
Hi, how are you? Good evening.
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you. I'm really feeling pretty privileged to be here to see this town in action. I do have a question, and my question is, how is the police and the police department dealing with the mental health of our officers?
Okay.
Hi, Chloe. And for everybody on the coalition, this evening was supposed to be a listening portion for me. I won't be answering every question, but the questions that I can answer and I am prepared to answer, I certainly will. This is something that I can speak to because it's something that is, very important. And Chloe, you know what? As part of accreditation, we assign goals and objectives every year at the Yorktown Police Department. And one of our goals and objectives this year was to enhance and increase our offerings of mental health and wellness opportunities for our officers, and to increase our conversations amongst all of us, whether it's supervisors, peer-to-peer. So in February of this year, at a staff meeting, and PBA representatives were there as well, we had Westchester Blue come in. Those are, it's Brothers Law Enforcement United. Westchester Blue, they came in and spoke to the services that they offer to law enforcement officers. We also have a representative from the New York State Police, New York State Troopers. They have a zone mental health wellness officers that offer services within zones. Lieutenant Graham secured the representative from our zone who came and met with our administrative staff. And he was scheduled to come in and meet with our officers in the spring. COVID threw a wrench in that because our in-person meetings were greatly decreased. But what we did was we shared his contact, and we had assurances from the troopers that if they were needed, they would be there for us. and it was anonymous. It was available to the officers, and that information was provided. What we're also working on is I'm almost ready to introduce the Valor app, which is from the Bureau of Justice Administration, which is something that if the officers get it on their phones, they'll have access to mental health and wellness at the touch of their fingers. And also the supervisor, I got to throw him a major shout out, because attached to our paychecks this week was information on a new employee assistance program, which was sorely needed here in the town of Yorktown. And to read that pamphlet and see the services that were offered anonymously, it only, I'm adding it to our goals and objectives to show that we've met them. And I can't thank him enough for bringing that to us as well. But what you should know is that, you know what, we've had conversations about this throughout the year. And, you know, we just saw a young officer, a 25-year-old officer from Bedford, take his own life last month. And we can't have that happen here.
No.
We can't have, you know, that changes your police department forever. I would never want to see that happen. And, you know, we've initiated these conversations amongst each other in roll calls anywhere we can, you know, that we bring it up, that if you're struggling, you either, you know, you have peers, you have these outreach programs that you can reach out to. My door is always open. It's not the easiest thing to walk into the chief of police's office, but, you know, I think if you ask any of my guys, I think they, you know, they would tell you that they know I'd be there for them. And I have no problem saying in a public forum on a recorded, you know, line, that they know there's not anything that I wouldn't do for any of them or their families. And, you know, it's just I think the conversations that we have at the police department that reinforce that it's not BS. It's something that, you know, we take to heart, and that if the officers are going to do the best job that they can do in the community, they have to be right. They have to have the support and know they're supported by the administration, you know, by their chief, and most importantly, by their community. And you will hear me say at town board meetings, when we used to have them in person, when we went there, I thanked the town board, because when the board supports you, you know, that makes it easier for me to lead. And I think the guys, you know, the men and women at that agency feel appreciated. And I think any of us that sit here, you know, on this forum or listening out there, you know, if you feel appreciated, you're going to go out there and do your best. And, you know, sometimes, like I said, some of the best accolades that I received as a police officer was when a supervisor said thank you or good job. And you know what? If it's sincere, it goes a long way. But I know I've been a little long-winded, but again, you brought up something that, you know, really is something that we've really hit on this year, that I'm proud of. It was one of our goals, and, you know, we'll have met that goal. And I think if you ask any of our officers, they would tell you that, yeah, you know what, we do have these conversations, and we know we can go for help if it's needed.
Right. And one of the things with the EAP that it was actually, it's an incredible package that we're able to provide, not just for the police department, but for all town employees, which we're very excited about. But one of the things that, and I mentioned this during our town board meeting on Tuesday, since it's now completed, one of the things now that we're going to be mandating, and it starts next month in November, is diversity training. And that's going to be included for not just the police department, but all town employees as well, which is obviously an important educational aspect for anyone. So that's also included in the EAP. All right. Chloe, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go back to Diana.
Next I have Gabrielle.
I'm just here to listen.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Louise, did you want to say anything?
Louise? I see Louise's iPad is on, but I don't know if she's unmuted. Oh, there you go, Louise.
Is that working?
Much better.
Okay. Yeah, hi. Sorry, was having a problem with the Zoom. Everybody was going in and out, in and out. It was hard to even follow the conversation going on. But hi, good evening, guys. I want to thank the Yorktown Town Board for giving me the opportunity to join this evening's listening session with the Coalition on Community Safety and Engagement Group. regarding police reform. I firmly believe that we should have
Your mom.
fair and unbiased.
She left?
Hold on, I'm
You
sorry.
okay?
Hold on one second. Louise, hold on. Mr. Offner, you're off mute. If you can mute your device.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. It happens to the best of us. No problem. Louise, you can continue now.
Where do I?
Thank
Oh, okay, let's go to just where I started, where I firmly believe we should have a fair and unbiased discussion on how to improve the relationship between our local police and the citizens of Yorktown. But I also believe in the need for respect on both sides and the need to educate our community to respect our police officers, especially in this current climate of animosity. Being a resident of Yorktown for the past 4+ years, I can personally comment on the relationship I have seen and heard with my own eyes and ears. Chief Noble and his officers and staff have always displayed complete and total professional and compassionate behavior and respect for the citizens of Yorktown. They strive every day to protect this community and our property while risking and putting their own lives on the line, not knowing if they'll be going home to their families safe and sound. The low-paying salaries is not the reason that they do this. It's because they are dedicated and believe in service to our community. The Yorktown town members have also praised Chief Noble and our police department. Councilman Tom Diana said they're, quote, they're going to find no shortcomings, end of quote. And Councilwoman Alice Roker, equally supportive, said, quote, I'll pit my police chief against anybody, and I know I'll come out on top, end of quote. So yes, let's have a fair and unbiased discussion and deal with the facts and the truth without any prejudices or biases. Thank you.
Thank you, Louise. We appreciate your participation. We will go to our next speaker.
I have Brian Sillick.
Okay, Mr. Sillick.
It's Joanne. Uh-oh.
I think you might have a...
Okay, sorry about that. It's Joanne and then Brian, okay?
Okay, so we have Joanne Sillick.
Sorry?
Joanne Sillick, for the record. I'm just letting the coalition know.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
This opportunity to speak tonight. I would like to address my comments to the Yorktown Police Department, led by Chief Robert Noble. The chief has a staff of 59 officers servicing a community of 42 square miles and nearly 40,000 residents. Quite remarkable. Originally from New York City, I very much appreciate the Yorktown Police, treating us with respect and professionalism. Having lived here for several years, I've come to know many of the officers by name. I asked myself, how is that possible? Then I realized that the officers are always around, not only keeping us safe, but as going to street to San Gennaro, St. Patrick's Day.
Hold on, I think we lost Joanne. Joanne, are you there? It looks like you were muted. Joanne? I don't know, it sounded like you were moving your device and maybe you hit the mute button by accident. I think it's on the bottom left corner of your device if you're using an iPad or a phone, and it's a touch screen. Bottom left corner. If you can press that and unmute yourself, then we can continue with your comments. Joanne? Okay, we're going to come back to Joanne to see if they can unmute their device, so we can continue with our speakers. Diana, who do we have next?
I have a Hariru Murthy.
Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, how are you?
So my name is Hariram Murthy, and I'm a PhD student in mathematics in Notre Dame. I've been in Yorktown since I was 2 years old. Before that, I was in Tarrytown, where I was born.
Oh, Joanne. I'm sorry. Hold on, Joanne. Joanne. I'm sorry. Just wait 2 minutes so we can finish with Hariru, and then we can go on to you if that's okay. I'm sorry. Continue.
And so I've been living in this beautiful town since I was 2 years old, I guess you need my address, right? I live in the Hunter Village neighborhood in Yorktown Heights, 10598.
Perfect. Thank you.
So I'm a PhD student at Notre Dame, and I've been taking part in the conversation over there in South Bend, Indiana. And I think it's a beautiful Midwestern town, South Bend, Indiana, and they have a community. They've been discussing legislation to get a community police review board. It's really for the benefit of the police who put themselves out on the line every day.
I'm sorry. You're referring to South Bend, Indiana?
Yeah, I'm referring to South Bend, Indiana, and I just really think that what is being done in South Bend, Indiana, could be a model for Yorktown Heights. We consider this is legislation that was just passed yesterday in South Bend, and I think having a community police review board, a place where complaints are sent first before they are forwarded to the police chief here, could be useful. It's really for the benefit of the police. And I just wanted to ask if there's anything, if there have been any conversations around that, like an independent community review board that is independent of the police that gets the complaints first.
Well, I can tell you that first, thank you for participating. And are you currently in South Bend right now?
Right now, I'm in Yorktown Heights, New York. And
you're in Yorktown now. That's great. I didn't know if you were out in Notre Dame. But best of luck with your PhD pursuit. That's so impressive. I think that it's a great time just to remind everyone, and I mean this in no disrespect, but the purpose of the conversation is to focus on the Yorktown Police Department. So I'm sure, and I don't know the intricacies of the South Bend community or the South Bend Police Department. So I don't know how we can correctly compare the South Bend operation with the Yorktown operation. But
I guess the question doesn't really have anything to do with that. What I'm saying is has there been any conversation over here about having a police review board that is independent and is run by the community that gets the complaints first?
The answer to your question would be there has been, to my recollection, no public conversation about a police review board of that type.
Okay. I just think it would be a great idea to start something like this. Since we are having a conversation and we're trying to see what we can do better. And I think this will strengthen our community. It'll strengthen the relations between the police in Yorktown and the community in Yorktown. It'll build up trust in our institutions. And it was just passed in the South Bend. And I'm not saying there's a comparison between South Bend and Yorktown. I just think that it has been done in cities all over the country and small towns and big cities alike. And there's no reason why it can't happen in Yorktown Heights, New York.
Okay.
All right. Well, we appreciate the input on the Community Police Review Board. That's And I wasn't trying to say you were speaking for South Bend. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
So your comments are about proposing a community police review board for the town of Yorktown. Just so we're clear.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you very much. We appreciate your participation. And again, best of luck with your PhD at Notre Dame. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go on to our next speakers. I lost Diana. My board just got shuffled on me.
Are we going to go back to Joanne Sillick?
Yeah, we'll go back to the Sillicks. That's great.
Okay. I don't know how much of it you heard from the beginning. Did you?
Yes.
We heard a little bit of the beginning, but if you want to start from the top, feel free.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to speak tonight. I would like to address my comments to the Yorktown Police Department, led by Chief Robert Noble. The chief has a staff of 59 officers, servicing a community of 42 miles and nearly 40,000 residents. Quite remarkable. Originally from New York City, I very much appreciate the Yorktown Police treating us with respect and professionalism. Having lived here for several years, I've come to know many of the officers by name. I ask myself, how is that possible? Then I realized that the officers are always around, not only keeping us safe, but as our neighbors, going to street fairs, the San Gennaro Feast, St. Patrick's Day Parade, Veterans Day, it can go on and on. But let's not forget that these trained officers are putting their lives on the line if necessary. How many other career people would be asked to do that? I would like to share an incident with you. On leaving my house one day, I saw my neighbor fall very hard, hitting the cement driveway. I went over and called his wife. Although he tried to get up, being overweight, he wasn't able to. I called 911 and explained what happened. Literally, in less than 5 minutes, the Yorktown police car was there. Apparently, they knew the man since they were called to assist him before and helped him get up. The officers were professional, respectful, and friendly. They knew my neighbor by name. In addition, I knew one of the officers as well. This does not happen by accident. Our police department actively engages with us. The results speak for themselves. Now, let's not forget who is at the helm. Chief Robert Noble. Beginning in Yorktown as a patrolman, he rose through the ranks and became chief of police in 2016. The Yorktown Police Department is credited by the state's Division of Criminal Justice Services. Only 29% of municipal police departments achieve this. I repeat, only 29%. It is a formal recognition that the policies are, and I quote, conceptually sound and operationally effective. I am personally impressed with Chief Noble's dedication to the community, including Toys for Tots coordinator, the Shrub Oak Athletic Club, and is a member of the Alliance for Safe Kids. Clearly, he has established a solid bond with the people of Yorktown. No wonder he has earned our respect and appreciation with his exemplary leadership. I am proud to say the Yorktown Police Department is truly the backbone of our community. Thank you for all you do keeping us safe. God bless you. And thank you for this opportunity. And Brian would like to say something now. Is that okay?
I believe he's signed up, right, Diana? He is signed up. Yes, Brian can speak.
Good evening, Brian Selleck, Yorktown Heights, New York. I just want to thank you for taking the time to listen to us, and I have nothing but praise also for the Yorktown Police Department. The other night, I pulled over with my wife to get the GPS out of the trunk. Within literally 1 minute, a policeman came by, says, "Everything all right? Can I help you with anything?" They seem to appear out of nowhere and they're always friendly, always good. We're sitting with a group of people 6 feet apart, social distancing, and policemen drove by. We waved. He pulled into the parking lot where we were all sitting, thinking that we needed him. But we just wanted to say hi and thank them for all they do. If I may, Chief Noble, again, was made Chief 2016, 4 years ago, September 6th. I'd like to quote what he said in his swearing-in ceremony. First of all, he was a longtime Yorktown resident, and he lived here with his wife and 3 children. And he's been in the police department prior to being the chief and others. This is, quote, "This is an amazing, amazing town," Noble said. "I am a lucky man to be working here. I am a lucky man as I stand before you and as your chief of police. I'll always be humble and never forget this night. Thank you all for making it so special." Noble, however, said that his department receives mostly the support from the Yorktown community, from sports and arts to parades and festivals. This is all quoted by Chief Noble on his night. Noble said Yorktown is a special place to raise a family. There's something for everybody in this town should they want to get involved. He said, "This town is just great place for anybody." Also, there's a meeting with the police for breakfast. I suggest everybody attend or try to attend and learn and know your police. We were checking on a traffic light, my wife and I, a while back. We went to Police Hall, Police Department in Yorktown to find out some traffic information. Chief Noble, we hadn't asked for him, unbeknownst to us, was there, came out, introduced himself, and offered to buy us a soda from the vending machine. He's a gentleman. He's great. The police department is fantastic. If you wave to them, you say hello to them, they're nothing but pure courtesy, and you'll find them popping out of side streets on Mat 6 and catching speeders. They're a fantastic department. And we have something that no other police department has in the country. We have Chief Noble. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you. I think Louise was with you as well.
You're going to make me cry.
Comments.
I'm going to call upon Richard Shaw.
Okay, we have Rich Shaw. Shaw.
Hey, Matt, how are you? Sorry, guys, I'm multitasking, listening to my daughter's teachers as I'm participating. I just want to say thank you for the invitation to listen in, and all the things that we've said and we've heard about Chief. I'm in violent agreement about, and I just want to give you one instance that I had, not necessarily with Chief Noble, but with one of his officers. About 2 years ago, we had an unfortunate event where my dog got hit by a car, and Officer Garcia came over. And Bobby, I don't know if you got my voicemail, but I did leave your voicemail about this. And I work about 90 minutes away. My wife works about 90 minutes away. And Angel stayed with my daughter, comforted her the entire time until we got somebody here. And not only did he do that, he stayed until when we got here and for a couple of minutes afterwards. After his tour was done, he didn't want to get overtime. He didn't want to do anything. He went back, he got into his civilians, and he came back and he sat with Alyssa for about another 20 or 30 minutes on his own time. So, Chief, I think you have an incredible bunch of people that work for you. I sometimes work for you when I put on my Westchester Sheriff outfit. And I enjoy working. I enjoy working with the CERT team, with Craig. So I really appreciate it. You got a great team, and I'm looking forward to participating in the future. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Diana.
Thank you, Rich. Appreciate you participating.
That's all I have on my list, but is there anybody on that would like to speak at this time?
Well, I know we have Dax Armstrong. Yep. I didn't know if he was, Dax, I know he wants to speak. So Dax Armstrong?
Yeah, so I'm good to speak now?
Yeah, absolutely, please.
Yep.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. How's everybody doing?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Thanks.
Good. Chief, good to see you again.
You too, Dax. How you doing?
I'm good. We haven't spoken in a little while.
All right. You let me know when you want
to. I'm actually going to be at Triangle on Sunday. We have a little event. Stop on by and support. I know you're going with a baldy, so maybe you don't need a haircut, but you know, maybe you can sponsor a haircut for somebody.
Yeah, no fades for me today.
It's really good, you know, to hear all of the stories and all of the support for Chief Noble. I know that my interactions with Chief have been positive. My interactions with the officers in town have been positive. And, you know, I've never shared this with anyone, no one knows, but my uncle, God rest his soul, was actually an NYPD detective for many, many years. So, you know, my role in town and with Yorktown for Justice is not in any way a slight against our police department, which is exemplary. It's simply to use the platform of our police department and our town to set an example for our county, to set an example for our country. And I think that we're in a position of privilege to do that. So with that said, I wanted to for one, I wanted to acknowledge one of the speakers from earlier today, and I'm going to butcher your name, Hyrie Rao. Later on, you can teach me how to say it. I appreciated your comments, and you know, one thing I've learned over the years as an educator is when you have a PhD prospect telling you something, it's a good idea to listen. And I feel privileged because I know that great minds think alike. And Hyrie, you're not alone in that idea about a civilian complaint board. I know that it's something that I've brought up in the past in private. And so I do support your idea. I second your idea, and I do hope that it's something that the coalition will discuss and explore ways that we can use that to our advantage. It is a way to protect officers. It's a way to protect the process for the town, for both the community and for the police officers. And as great as Chief Noble is, I mean, he's not going to be our chief forever. We're going to, at some point, you know, Chief Noble will retire and hand over the reins to someone else. And we want to make sure that our process as a town is uniform, regardless of who is at the helm. So I say that, and I want to offer up a couple of points to the coalition to explore. So first are body cameras. Body cams are something that our neighboring municipalities already employ. And it's a good way to protect our officers when they're on the job on a daily basis. So I strongly suggest that we look at outfitting our police department with body cameras. Also, implicit bias training. I know Chief has been gracious enough to share with me what goes on within our department. And I know that there's an implicit bias training that Officer Fortunato already provides. And Officer Fortunato is an excellent officer. I've met him on a number of occasions. He gets my stamp of approval without any questions. However, I think it's always good to add additional trainings. So I would recommend more than just the one training that Officer Fortunato offers, and to have trainings yearly, multiple if possible. I think that would be best. And to vet outside organizations and outside facilitators that can come in and do those trainings. So I would ask the coalition to look into additional implicit bias trainings and education. And just going back to my previous point, I'd like to see us improve our methodology for reporting encounters with the police. I'd like to see us align our reporting methods with that of other Westchester municipalities. We should be looking at reforms that the Westchester Task Force and our neighboring towns' task forces are exploring. And we should strive to provide a safe space for community members to submit their complaints while protecting them from any possible backlash. We should look at methods to ensure the safety and confidentiality of the community and those that make reports. Okay, so thank you for your time. Thank you for, we got a debate going on. There's a lot of things going on in town. So thank you, for hearing me tonight and for taking time out of our busy schedules to be here.
Dax, I just have a question for you. I really appreciate your insight and your participation and comments. When you say that there are neighboring communities, can you be more specific? Do you know which ones you're referring to?
Well, in terms of which point?
Well, you mentioned body cams. I just want to see if we can try to be a bit specific.
Sure.
Body cams.
So,
which neighboring communities?
So Westchester County Police Department actually already employs body cameras.
Right.
And I learned that through their task force listening session.
Are there I think. I'm sorry. Continue.
Yeah. So I think that if the county police, are using body cams, surely I think we can do the same. And I think that go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't mean to keep cutting you off.
It's fine. It's fine. Go ahead.
No, are there other municipalities in municipal police departments that are either using or are? I know Yonkers, for instance. Yonkers just did it.
Yeah.
So other than, I'm sorry, what?
Peekskill.
Peekskill has it. Okay. They
Well,
already.
I think
we have that in place.
Yes. Yes.
Is that for every officer?
That's correct.
Every officer.
So I would say, without knowing every municipality and all of their procedures, I would say Peekskill's a pretty good comparable department to ours.
Okay. And then and on the methodology of reporting, I guess just same question. I'm just curious if there are other municipal police departments. I understand the county, but are there other municipal departments that are currently instituting some type of specific methodology on reporting?
Well, every neighboring town in Westchester currently has their own task force, and they're going through their own procedures. I would assume that everyone's looking at their reporting procedures. If they are not, I'd be concerned. So I'm just urging us to do the same, to review our procedures and to see how we can ensure the confidentiality and the safety of people that make reports. And I would support Hyree's earlier suggestion of a civilian community complaint board.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, as part of the executive order, every municipality that has a municipal police force has to engage in this conversation. I just didn't know if there were, I must have misunderstood you. I thought you were saying that there were other municipal or other police forces, and I understand the county, but I was trying to get to other municipal police forces that already implemented or are implementing enhanced reporting of this type. So that's what I was just curious about.
Sure.
Anything? I don't know if anyone else wants to ask Dax any questions, because I think he's our last. I'm sorry, no. We have one more, correct? Diane, I think we had one more speaker.
And I know Diego hasn't spoken yet.
John, did you want to speak?
Yes, I was not sure if it was the right time, but yes, I do want to speak if it's
John,
okay.
can you give us your full name, please?
John Delvecchio.
Great, thank you.
Okay. So yes, I lived in Yorktown for the past 20 years. I have 25 years experience in the civil service side. No longer. I'm now in the private sector. I have a security business. So I kind of see both sides of what's being said today. I know we touched a lot on this civilian community review board. I have an opposite opinion on that. It's police work, now that I'm no longer in that field, police work is a completely different dynamic than a civilian is used to seeing. It's not something that I think civilians can actually see and comment and decide what is right and what's wrong, other than what's seen on the media and a lot of things that people are swayed by. So being in the private sector now, I just see that I don't think any police department or community benefits from a civilian review board. Trust me when I tell you, in the law enforcement side, there is so many checks and balances on the inside between supervisors, things that are controlled through training. It's not simple to just say, okay, put a civilian board in charge and say this officer did something wrong or this officer did something right. Due to the training, and especially in Westchester County, and having experience all through the country, these officers receive the highest level of training anywhere around. You're getting the creme de la creme of officers within Westchester County. One other comment on Angel Garcia. I know him personally as well. He is one of the greatest officers that I've dealt with in Yorktown Heights. I just wanted to, I know we did focus out on two speakers tonight, but I just don't agree with the community review board, and I would love to talk to further about it with this panel and give more reasons why I think there's more negatives than positives that will come out of that. Implicit bias training, I'm all for. I think it's great. Training, officers love training. There is training that is good, and training, some of it is repetitive, but that's what we do. That's what we need. But I do agree that implicit bias training is good. I've been in a couple of those in the private sector. I think it's great. It's a great way to open up dialogue between different people's opinions. And, you know, that's how you get problems solved, by talking about it, by getting out there, by actually, you know, speaking of experiences and why people react or act in a certain way. I mean, implicit bias training is good. I just, like I said, I just would like to discuss more about the community review board if that ever goes on the table. I have a lot of insight and a lot of knowledge that I think I could bring towards the table as well. I don't have a PhD, but I do have graduate degrees in criminal justice. So I think I can offer a lot to that if that ever does come through, if it's talking about coming to fruition or further talks about that. Yorktown Police, like I said, I lived here 20 years. They do a great job with protecting the community. Every experience that I had was positive as far as anytime I needed anything or had to speak to anyone. So I don't see any problems that would arise with where that sort of review board would be even needed. But like I said, I would love to talk more about it if it does come on the table. And, you know, thank you. I just want to thank everyone for inviting me tonight and, you know, allowing me to speak and be part of this board.
John, appreciate your comments. I will say that these discussions are open to the public. So our next listening session, which is in November 19th, if you want to come back with more specifics about the things that you discussed, if you feel the need to educate the coalition, I offer the same to Dax, and I offer the same thing to Harry. I'm sorry, Harry as well. You know, on the issue itself, I mean, by all means, that's why we are holding these. That's why we have these, and they're open to the public to solicit that type of feedback and education of the coalition. So don't feel that you need a formal invitation. I would just encourage you to participate as you are, and just know that you have another opportunity next month to provide additional detail on your specific views. I know that Diego wanted to speak from Yorktown Justice. Diego?
Yeah, I'll just keep it brief. I basically have some questions that I want to ask. I don't expect them to be answered tonight, but I think it could lead to a more positive working session in the future. First, Chief Noble, thank you so much for being open to this input. You know, it's clear you're running a class organization, and this can only hopefully make you better. You implemented Hope Not Handcuffs as a diversionary methodology. is there something that could be done with mental health support? And perhaps is there anything in place for, teens and juveniles? Do we have a program in place to help them out? My second question is, you showed us the incident report. Are we evaluating those incident reports? Are we seeing any patterns? Is there anything that you take away from that as an opportunity for improvement and implement through training? And then what have been the recent training changes that you've made? And again, don't expect an answer tonight, but I think it would be productive to the conversation next time. Thank you so much.
Chief, do you want to respond? I don't know if you're able or equipped to answer any of those, but do you want to?
Yeah, you know what? The next presentation that I am going to make, it involves our personnel complaint policy. It involves our departmental training and the hiring process. So all those, like I said, I'm trying to focus on areas of our rules and regulations that conform, to EO 203, and that also that I think the public, it gives them, it's transparency. It gives them a peek inside as to how we do things at the Yorktown Police Department. So I'm trying to give the public out there as much bang for their buck as they can get with why we do things, how we do things, and the way the finished product that the public receives, which I think I'm very confident that we service the public at a very, very high level. And, you've heard a few officers mentioned. I've got an agency full of them. I've got a lot of talent. They treat people well. They get treated well. And I think that's the recipe. When you're treated well, you return that out to the public. And I think the data, like I said, will support us. I will have more data at the next presentation in November that I think will show that, like I said, we don't bat 1,000, but we're doing pretty well. And I fully expect that to continue. You'll hear me say, I'm proud of this agency. I continue to be. I'm lucky to have surrounded myself with good people. And when you do that in any walk of life, you'll see positive results. So, yeah, we're going to touch upon Diego. We're going to touch upon the training, some of the things that we've done. And I think when the public hears how many hours of training that our officers receive, I think you're going to be blown away. I think, it's something that really speaks volumes because, you know what, any training that we can receive, it's not lip service. If it's quality training, it is good. It's excellent for the officers to receive and to implement, because like I said, we try to stay ahead. We try to stay ahead of the curve, but like I said, the most important thing that's implemented or discussed is the ability to communicate. And you know what? To be able to communicate with anybody out there, whether you have a PhD or whether you maybe have mental health problems, to be able to calmly, slowly, effectively, with empathy and compassion, be able to communicate with people, and to be able to get the job done out there.
Thank you for the communication. Thank you for the transparency, Chief. Look forward to the continued conversation.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Diego. Diana, do we have anybody else who we have to speak?
Dax has requested to clarify something.
Okay. Dax, Mr. Armstrong?
You can call me Dax.
Dax, go for it, buddy.
Just a clarifying point. So to the comments, Mr. John, I don't know the last name, but the comments about the Civilian Complaint Board, my comments were more in line with the community supporting the reporting process so that there's a mediator between the community members making a complaint of an issue and the police department who they may be making a complaint about. So clearly you could see how there could be a conflict and probably a Civilian Complaint Board could play a role. You got to be careful when you start to make comments regarding people's ability to judge right and wrong. I mean, I think human beings, we can all judge right and wrong. I understand not having the training of a police officer, and I understand that that's definitely a difference. But I know that, I lived in New York City for 30 years. It's a town of 8-9 million people, 5 boroughs, a lot of police officers, and they've had a civilian community complaint board for decades, and it hasn't completely destroyed the police department there. So if a town of 8 million or so people can have a board, I think a town our size can have a board as well. And I don't think it would topple the entire system.
Max, thank you. Appreciate that.
Should I respond back to that or no?
I'd rather we not get into a back and forth. John, if you'd like to respond, you can.
Just real quick. I came from the city too. I lived in the city as well for some time. I know the dynamics revolving around the New York City Police Department. They're a much larger department. There's a lot of different facets. It's completely different job. I'm not saying a civilian review board will topple over the police department. I just don't see the benefit of it in Yorktown Heights, coming from a county of, I think we have 42 towns and villages in Westchester County. I don't know of any civilian review boards in the county. I could be wrong. I'm going to do some homework on that. Just from my knowledge and my understanding of my background, I just don't see any benefit. If someone makes a complaint against the police officer, which they have the right of doing, if it's a specific incident, I get it. They can still do that, and confidentiality and everything else still plays a factor. I just don't see any benefits. Training, I do, though. I agree 100%. Training is good. Training costs money, but it's good. And the reason why you have such great police officers in Westchester County, specifically Yorktown Heights, is because they go through a lot of training. They know what they're doing. They don't, you're not having these incidents that you see in other municipalities and other locations in other area. It's kind of more just going along the side. I'm not saying you're wrong by wanting to implement that. I'm just saying it's part of it. Don't try and fix that part if it's not broken. That's all I was trying to say. But like I said, I'm sorry if I'm getting a little long-winded. I talk a lot, but I would love to, go through an open dialogue. And I'm always, that's why we have 2 ears and one mouth. You're supposed to listen to other people, and I am listening to you, and I do respect what you have to say. I just want to say, from my training and my knowledge and my understanding of what's done and what's not done, I think given those factors and what we're dealing with in Yorktown Heights, I wouldn't want to disturb that. You have a great police department, great officers, and they go through very good training just being through Westchester County. That's it. Sorry if I'm going too long-winded.
John, thank you.
Stop now.
Appreciate that, John. Thank you. I do have, we did receive one written comment that, let me just check to make sure. Diana, is Mr. Murphy on? Otherwise, we can read his letter.
No, he's not on. He has to read his letter.
Okay. Do you want me to read it, or do you want to read it?
You can read it.
Okay. The letter states, addressed to our town clerk, Ms. Quast, please submit and read the below statement at the October 22nd Coalition on Community Safety and Engagement listening session. My name is Patrick Murphy. I owned a small business in Yorktown for over 13 years. Over that time frame, I had several interactions with the Yorktown police. Each and every time they were professional, positive, and proactive. They took the time and care to educate me on safety and prevention and kept my customers, employees, and surrounding neighborhoods safe. The police department consistently displays their professionalism. I have seen firsthand how they have responded to elderly in the community, those whose medical conditions sometimes pose a risk to their own safety. The police and ambulance are very responsive and professional, taking control and keeping the family safe and informed while letting the volunteer ambulance staff do their job. I grew up in Yorktown and made the decision to move back here and raise my family in no small part based on the security of this community. The police presence and their unwavering commitment to our community, schools, and businesses has reinforced that decision for me repeatedly. My family and I are extremely grateful to live in Yorktown. A continued focus on public safety will be key to enabling my own children to make a similar decision for themselves. Thank you. Signed, Patrick Murphy. And that is the only written comment that we've received for tonight. I do want to go back to the coalition if we can, and see if the coalition has any comments or questions that they want to either A, address or B, pose? Jimmy?
Yeah, I first want to say thank you, everybody, for your comments were eloquent and well appreciated. I think one thing we need to keep focus on that it's not just today. I mean, Chief, you've got a tough job and you do it well, but it's setting up for tomorrow as well. And I think if we keep that in mind, I think that'll certainly help us as we go forward with this group. But thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Jim. Anyone else?
I'd like to just say that I'm very happy with the idea of the camcorders because they not only protect the public, but they protect our policemen as well, I think. So I think that's a great idea that they should have those. And the other thing, could someone want to explain when it is proper to use what I learned recently? I'm learning a lot about this. A bowler wrap. When is this appropriate to use?
Chief, do you want to answer that question?
Sure. In our endeavor to try to keep people as safe as possible, a few months back, I learned of the bowler wrap device. I actually knew about it probably about 6 months ago. They brought a demonstration to the City of Yonkers Police Department. I attended, Lieutenant Graham attended, and our defensive tactics, use of force lead instructor, Michael Caprio, attended. And we thought it'd be useful. We thought it'd be a useful tool for us, a less lethal device. It is along the lines of, taser, basically, or OC, the oleoresin capsicum known as pepper spray. Where I think it can make a difference is with agitated subjects or maybe, those emotionally disturbed people that we do run into, where if we can get them before they get too excited or too, violent, if we can use this wrap to, what it is, it's a projectile that shoots a Kevlar rope and it wraps around a person's legs, or you try to get their arms or one arm or two arms basically wrapped around. It's almost like, I hate to use this analogy. If you watch Spider-Man and not a net, but there's a wrap that goes around and it kind of keeps your limbs in pretty close. I think it can be useful. I know it was a very generous thing the other day that was done with raising funds so that we can purchase them. And I'm optimistic that they're going to come in useful. But before we ever utilize them in the field, we have to train our officers and we have to develop a policy to use it correctly. And that's underway right now. We're looking into it. We may acquire this product, but again, before it's ever utilized in the field, we got to train and we need a policy because you know what? Our officers deserve that. Any tool I can get them that makes them safer and the public safer, that's a win-win, and we're all about that. But, when you talk about police work, it is split-second decisions. And the best way that my officers can make those split-second decisions correctly is through training, muscle memory, which is, the training, and well-written policies that are easy to understand and, easy to implement.
So these are non-lethal, obviously, I think.
There's nothing non-lethal. It's less lethal.
Less lethal. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Rose. Anyone else from the coalition? Liz, you want to say something? I see you're unmuted.
Yeah. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who participated, and I appreciated hearing a lot of the feedback from, our fellow town members, and definitely look forward to, I like the idea of a civilian complaint board, so I would definitely like to explore that more. And again, I loved all the ideas that were brought forth, and Chief Noble, I just keep saying, keep doing a good job.
Thank you, Liz. Thanks a lot. Thank you for your support.
Excellent. Anyone else from the coalition? Rabbi Robbie?
Yeah, it's really more of like a process question, and that is, while we've been hearing about some sort of review board, and we've also been hearing about body cameras, is that for us as a board to make decisions or even recommendations with the help of the chief, will we have an opportunity to hear from people who literally know about these things, like they've created them in their communities and they come and they talk to us about it? Because right now we're hearing from different stakeholders, which is really important at this stage. But I'm curious to know, as we go further in this process, whether it's in the fall or going towards the winter, and start thinking about recommendations, are we just going to base those recommendations off of the information that we've heard in these types of listening sessions, or will we have an opportunity to say, hey, they built this type of thing down in Larchmont or other parts of the county and it succeeded, and then we hear from another community where it failed and things of the sort, and we get this information and hear about the process, or even with the body cameras, to know we might like the idea, but if it costs the town an extraordinary amount of money where it really constrains your budget. Like, before we make a recommendation about anything, I would love to learn more about these things.
Yeah, we can definitely engage I'll work with Chief Noble, and we'll work with Mr. Ronco from the DA's office to see if we can get some direction and individuals who could speak on those matters to educate the coalition. And maybe we can include that as part of our next work group meeting. So this way, that's what the work group meeting's for, for the chief to provide it's really for the coalition to be educated, right? And so we have the chief educating us on the policies of the Yorktown Police Department. And if we want to have others who have some other expertise or experience in these things, and Chief, I'm not trying to take that away from you. If you can speak on them, great. But if there are others that we should hear from, then I think that it's only fair for us to hear from them.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, no, and listen, that's I sent. You have my email. If you have questions, you can certainly send them my way, and I'll do my best to get the answers for you.
Chief, there was a question I had. I'm sorry, Rabbi. Did you have any other thoughts or comments on tonight? One of the other questions I had, Chief, there was a comparison made to Peekskill. Do you want to speak on that comparison? Is when we look at the Yorktown Police Department and the Peekskill Police Department, what are we looking at there? Are we looking at apples to apples?
I don't necessarily think we're comparable. Peekskill, I can't say, let me put it right out there. Peekskill is a much more diverse community than Yorktown is. The census data will back that up. The policing in Peekskill may be a little different than the policing in Yorktown. So again, we talk about broad brushes and things like that. There's different. I don't necessarily think Peekskill and Yorktown are comparables, but again, we can agree to disagree. Okay, I apologize. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I was just one of those things that I'm sorry. You did. I know I did. Well, it's part of the dialogue, part of the conversation. I told you I don't duck anybody, Supervisor, not even you. So I know that. Don't worry. Anyone else on the coalition? Pete or Paul, Tony? Any thoughts or comments that you might have or questions?
I thought it was great hearing everyone's comments, and it proves that Yorktown Police is really good, and Chief Noble is doing the right thing in all their training. Thanks. Let me chime in right there. To hear that from a young man like you, that means something, because right now you see a lot of things on TV with the national media, and that somebody your age can have that opinion. That says a lot. I tell my own kids who are right around your age, have your own opinion. Make your own opinion. Don't listen to the news or what's fed to you on TV. Educate yourself, informed, and make an informed decision. And and that's, like I said, when I go on next time, you'll hear me talk about the SRO program ad nauseum. And to have the ability to meet with adolescents, and now on one school district side with elementary school children, we're giving these kids the ability to form their own opinions, to actually have dialogue with a police officer and say, yeah, you know what, that guy's not so bad. And
Yeah.
you know, it's you know, like you'll hear me say, we all have a lot more in common than we have our differences. And you know, this process, I'm very optimistic it'll make us all better. But I don't want to get too long-winded, but Paul, thanks, man. I'm happy to hear that. It restores my faith because you're the future. I mean, you guys, you got to carry us the rest of the way. You're the future.
Thank you, Chief.
All right, and I just want to make sure anyone else from the coalition. No? Pete, Pete?
Matt, I just want to second what everybody said. It was great to hear the great things that the police department has done and police officers. I haven't had too many run-ins, thank God, good or bad. I did witness a couple of games of kids versus cops and the interaction between 12-year-olds and 10-year-olds and 13-year-olds and our police force, and it was unbelievable over the years. It's a fundraiser that Sergio Esposito has put together, and they've always been there for us. So, thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we close, I know I saw Councilman, I just lost him. Oh, no, there he is. Councilman Tom Diana's on. And we have Councilwoman Alice Roker. Before we sign off, I just want to see if either of you had anything to add to tonight's conversation.
Sure. Thank you, Supervisor, and thank you, everybody here on the coalition. I think this is a very laudable cause that we're doing here to support our police department. God knows I had my time in the field, and the Chief can back me up on that. And I don't know about Peter Lanz's brushes with the police, though. We're going to have to look into that one. But anyway, I can only say, Chief, keep up the good work. The guys are great. We had that fundraiser to hopefully help them out a little bit over the weekend with the bowler wrap. And Rose, when you get a chance, I'll show you a video. I think you'll get a kick out of it.
Good. Can I try one?
I'm doing the Tennessee bird walk. But anyway,
Okay.
It's I think it's a great tool, great new tool for the police department with the proper documentation that they have to follow, rules, regulations, and training. So it's a less than lethal device that will 100% help, especially with the mental health people, that the mental health problems that we do encounter out there, where they may not understand a police officer's commands, and you don't want to hurt those people, but you do have to do a job, and that's what people have to understand. So this is the lesser, the kinder, gentler way to take care of business. Chief, keep up the good work.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilman Diana. And I just want to see, I know we have Alice Roker on the phone, our town councilwoman. I'm not sure if we can unmute her or not. She's on the phone.
Finds himself in a unique position to
No, I know. I think we have some feedback coming from someone. No? Di, we can't unmute? No? Okay.
No,
All
she
right, well, that's
unmuted herself.
okay. Well, that will conclude tonight's listening session. I genuinely want to thank everyone for participating. And I think one of the great things about tonight is, even though we heard not necessarily opposing, but different views and different perspectives, it's very clear that during the entire time we were able to maintain a very high level of respect and civility, which is so important for us as a community. So I really want to thank everyone. I want to thank the coalition for their leadership. And our next meeting will be November 12th. We'll be doing it in the same fashion. That'll be a work group meeting, similar to, again, our meeting on the 8th. We'll have a presentation from Chief Noble, and to Rabbi Robbie. We'll work between now and then to try to find some folks who can speak towards some of the issues that we heard tonight. And with that, then we will adjourn the meeting. And again, I want to thank everyone who came on and thank the coalition. And
Thank you.
Everyone a very good night. Happy Halloween. Stay safe and stay healthy, okay?
Okay, you too.
Thank
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night, all.
Win some big money for us, Jimmy.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. Thank
Good night.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.